In preparation for Alien Day on April 26th, and because the movie Aliens turns 35 this year, I wanted to review one of the main Alien or Aliens books that I own. I'm not going to lie to you, even though I have a bunch of the Alien or Predator books, this is the first one that I've finished. If all of the Predator and Alien novels are this good, sign me up, and you can expect to see a lot of reviews on this channel. Aliens Bug Hunt is a short story anthology from 2017 published by Titan Books. The book was edited by Jonathan Mayberry and features 18 short stories that focus on the Colonial Marines. There are a ton of new grunts introduced in this book, but there are just as many stories that focus on the standout characters that we know and love from Aliens. When I say standout, that's a little misleading. Personally, I feel like each one of the Marines in the movie Aliens is a standout character. Come on, Hudson, Hicks, Vasquez. How often do you find yourself quoting a line of one of these characters from a movie that is 3.5 decades old? Hell, Frost? I love that guy's look, and he noticed that Ripley didn't like the cornbread either. Dietrich? Yeah, she gets taken out pretty quickly, but at least she had the common sense to take a flamethrower to a bug hunt. In the anthology Aliens Bug Hunt, we learn why Dietrich packed her flamethrower in the first place. According to the intro by Jonathan Mayberry, he had over 100 story submissions to whittle down to the 18 that are in this book. Every short story in this book is enjoyable for a different reason, though some are more memorable than others. Quite a few of my favorite authors have contributed to this collection, such as Dan Abnett, Christopher Golden, and Brian Keene, but surprisingly, not all of my favorite stories in Bug Hunt were written by authors that I'm familiar with. Just a warning, there'll be some slight spoilers for some of the stories in the book. Aliens Bug Hunt is completely free on Audible at the time of this recording, so you can give it a listen and come back to this review. I want to talk about 4 of the 18 stories, and I think that we should talk about the story that stands apart from the rest in the collection. Dangerous Prey by Scott Sigler. Dangerous Prey is unique within this collection because the story is told entirely from the perspective of the xenomorph. During the Shelter-in-Place year, I became a big fan of Scott Sigler, not just his work, but his personality. He has a large group of extremely dedicated fans who wear jerseys based on the teams of his Galactic Football League series, and who actively participate in the twice-weekly live streams Sigler and his wife host. I noticed Sigler's fans often discussed his alien work, and as far as I knew, he had only written one alien book, Phalanx. I have yet to read Phalanx, but after reading this story, I can see why he is so closely associated with the franchise. His incredible attention to detail regarding the perspective of the xenomorph and its life cycle essentially explains everything about the creature. It provides much more of a fulfilling explanation of what the xenomorph is than either Prometheus or Alien Covenant were able to. There are many stories in this book that feature brand new space marines, and there are stories that feature bugs that are not the famous xenomorph, all contributing to the idea that the Aliens universe is a lot bigger than the movies make it seem. The 3 other stories that really stood out to me tie in directly with the movie Aliens, however. First, you have No Good Deed by Ray Garton. Garton is a horror writer who has written over 60 books. No Good Deed follows ruthless bounty hunter Madison Mad Voss and her synth partner Jex. The story bounces back and forth from Mad's perspective and the perspective of an escaped convict named Jaeger. Jaeger is pretty ruthless himself, but his fellow escapee Bates might be the most dangerous character in the story. Bates has been experimented on by pharmaceutical corporation Metcon, which results in him being able to transform into something more than human. No Good Deed is a great example of how this book introduces us to new characters or reintroduces us to old characters that we weren't as familiar with. It makes us want more of their story. I could read a whole book about Mad Voss and her android that she had specially made, or Jaeger and Bates. Right when you are fully invested in these characters, the story ends and we move on to the next one. I said No Good Deed is connected to the movie Aliens, right? Well, the planet that Mad and Jex followed the 2 escapees to, it's LV-426, and Jaeger and Bates are trying to hide out in Hadley's Hope. Too bad for the duo, considering the colony just became a little infested. One of the characters that dies at Hadley's Hope, and one of the most despicable characters in the entire Alien franchise, is Carter Burke. In the story Dark Mother, written by David Farland, we learn of Burke's ultimate fate after we last see him in Aliens. When watching Aliens, we assume that Burke has been killed by the xenomorph that we see attack him, or even more likely, he has been taken to be cocooned and impregnated by a facehugger. There is the deleted scene from Aliens where Ripley discovers Burke when she tries to find Newt. In Dark Mother, we see things from Burke's perspective, cocooned and about to be impregnated. Memories rush through his head to his childhood and the dysfunctional relationship he had with his own mother. We get flashbacks to Burke's parents, who are also both ruthless and profit-driven. Before Burke meets his destiny in the self-destructing colony, we see that the apple does not truly fall far from the tree. Just like all the other actors in Aliens, Paul Reiser knocked it out of the park. playing the soulless Burke. Dark Mother serves as an origin story for the corporate stooge and gives us a little more time with him. Finally, I wanted to talk about my favorite story featuring a familiar face. One of my favorite Alien franchise characters, and most likely one of yours, is the android Bishop. In the story Broken, written by Rachel Kane, we track Bishop's journey from activation to serving with Apone and his crew. Bishop's activation scene brings back memories of the prologue in Alien Covenant when Michael Fassbender's David was first activated. I doubt that either story influenced the other since both Covenant and Bug Hunt came out in 2017. Bishop starts out with a different Colonial Marine unit, and in Broken, we follow Bishop to Harsa Colony, where he and his fellow Marines are trying to rescue colonists from the hostage-taking group, Company F. Company F is a great example of the despicable humanity which I am assuming is prevalent in the Alien universe. Normally, we see the utter lack of regard for human life coming from members of the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, but in this story, Company F is just as cold-blooded. Finding a character with a moral compass in the Alien universe is like finding a diamond in the rough, and as far as androids that are not murderous scientists go, we are 1 out of 3, and Bishop is the exception to the rule. In Broken, Bishop is given a moral dilemma, and I am not going to spoil the story for you. You'll just have to read Bug Hunt to see the choice he makes. These are just 4 out of the 18 stories. You might not enjoy the stories I listed as much as I did, but there is such a variety in this collection. I think that as long as you're a fan of aliens, you'll love Bug Hunt. April is coming to an end, but in May we have a lot to look forward to on Ramblings from the Rod Pod. On May the 4th, Mike B will be back to discuss the Star Wars High Republic book, Test of Courage. Brian and I will be reviewing the Netflix show Jupiter's Circle, based on the comic by Mark Millar. Also, if you enjoyed my live Superman and Lois reaction videos I recorded on the Anchorpete channel with my daughter Pepper, then you can start watching them here when the show comes back on May 18th. So make sure to subscribe to Ramblings from the Rod Pod. See you next time.